to Game Night Live Rewind crossover edition. This is our opportunity to bring in writers from across the state who really know teams in and out, the stories going on, and we're thrilled to be joined with Patrick Carr of the Standard. Patrick, thanks for joining us here as we talk Region 1 girls basketball.
Thank you for having me again, as always.
Well, let's get into it, shall we? Look, Region 1 has the #1 team in the state. Maybe not the team you're thinking of. How about the Syracuse Titans holding #1 in RPI coming into action this weekend?
And really, what a fantastic start to the season by Syracuse. You know, as of the first 10 games, they went 9-1. Obviously, the #1 RPI team in the state, and did it against the 4th toughest schedule in 6A. They have not had an easy schedule. Their only losses against Judge Memorial. They played them to a 2-point game up in the Morgan tournament. But on top of that, you have a 24-point win over Riverton, a 16-point win over Bingham, a 13-point win over Olympus. They've beaten some really, really good teams. It's been really impressive, especially because they had 2 starters graduate, one of whom was their point guard. So they were going to have a new point guard this year and were very susceptible to teams pressing them. So far, they've just been outstanding.
Well, and it's interesting. You talk about that Riverton game. I think Riverton was 1-2 at the time. Riverton won Syracuse 2, and they beat them by 20. It was certainly an exclamation mark that, hey, we are for real. Yeah.
Beat them start to finish. And of course, the 2 kids really having a great year so far for the Titans are the Sorensen girls, Whitney and Gracie Sorensen. Whitney Sorensen's averaging 12 points a game and 7.6 rebounds per game. Playing as sort of an undersized forward, so that tells me she's just crashing the boards and getting the boards. Gracie Sorensen averaging 9 rebounds a game, having a really, really great year underneath so far.
Hopkins and Sanders there to help with the scoring load for the Titans. Great start for Syracuse.
Yeah, fantastic start.
Now let's talk about the team that I think is on everyone's mind, the FREMONT SILVERWOLVES. Look, you can look at this team and see their record. Obviously, it's impressive, 9-2. Those 2 losses out of state, and man, they start off region play. They're playing Farmington, take care of the Phoenix. I think everyone expected Tamia Garter, Maggie Mendelson. You look at the other players on that team.
Yeah, Mia Austin.
Yeah, there is a handful of talent for Fremont, and this is probably, I think, everyone's favorite in Region 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And even all the coaches say, like, look, this is Fremont's region until somebody else takes it from them, and it's going to be very, very difficult to beat Fremont. And they were already good before they went down to the Nike Tournament of Champions in December, played 4 really, really tough out-of-state teams. The big question with Fremont at the beginning of the year was, obviously, their inexperience was in the backcourt. They were going to have new ball handlers. How would that handle? Well, a couple of games, they got run out of the gym a little bit in Arizona, but it really, really got them a lot better and a lot more prepared for Region 1 play, as if they weren't already prepared enough. I mean, they were already going to be a very, very tough team to beat in Region 1, and they just got so much better after the 4 Nike games. It's going to take something crazy to beat Fremont.
Look, and you talk about this Fremont team, Tamia Gardner. Crazy to think she's a senior, future Oregon State Beaver. Can't wait to see what she does there. Injuries have kind of hampered her career. Would love to see her be healthy in her senior year and take Fremont, all the way to the championship again. But health, something to watch there with Tamia.
Yeah, and Tamia took a lot of time off this offseason too. She had, some nagging injuries, some residual injuries, things that you kind of have to just let rest. But obviously, it's her senior year. She's not gonna sit out her senior year. Watching her so far this season, she's never been the type of player to just completely dominate a game because she hasn't had to, and because that's not what Fremont's system has wanted out of her. They've always wanted something like 13.7 boards a game. Well, now she is capable of going off for 20 and 10 every night. She's taking kids off the dribble and beating kids to the basket, drawing double teams, hitting jump shots. She's doing everything you would expect a top 10 national recruit to do in a game.
It's one of the things you really have to respect about Fremont's program in general, because you can talk about Emma Calvert, Tamia, even Maggie. It's a very unselfish culture there. No one is out to get theirs. It's all about the team and wins, and you've seen that on the floor. It's one of the reasons why they haven't lost a region game in 4 years.
Yeah. And obviously, Maggie Mendelson is also having a great year. And the thing with Maggie, she's more your traditional 5 post player. She's able to take the ball down the court and score on a layup. So I know some teams didn't expect that when that first happened to them, where she beat a kid down the court and got a layup. But that's something else to watch, along with how good she is on defense. I mean, she's their best rim protector, best shot blocker, all that fun stuff. And she's just so good scoring underneath and rebounding underneath. I mean, pick your poison, really. Like, if you have a really good post player, all right, you're going to try and defend Tamia Gardner, or you're going to try and defend Maggie Mendelson. Very hard to do one.
It's remarkable the run of 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" posts that Fremont has enjoyed the last couple years, and maybe the last year here before that sequence dies down a bit. Another team in the top 10 out of Region 1, that being the Davis Darts, and they've got a guard who right now is just kidnapping kittens on the floor left and right.
Yeah, Kylie Mabry is a Utah Valley signee, 4-year starter, averaging 6 steals a game this year. So you think about that, that's 6 extra possessions for your team per game. And hey, if you shoot 40 to 50%, you're going to get an extra 4, 5, 6 points per game just based off of those steals. Just huge impact along with what she's been able to do, rebounding and assists, and of course scoring. Mabry is just a super, super dynamic player, really hard to contain her, really hard to bottle her up, because obviously she can hurt you on the offensive end and the defensive end.
Their only loss this year is to Ridgeline. That's the #1 team in 4A. They're undefeated as well.
Very good
Ridgeline team, and they've got impressive wins. Pleasant Grove, Boxell. There's been a good start for Davis. Kendra Kitchen has been solid offensively for them as well.
Yeah, Kitchen's had a really, really great start to the year as well. You know, she started last year at the post as a freshman, and just having a year of experience under her belt, she's been really, really great inside for the Darts so far. But just like with every team, it's one thing to say that you can beat Fremont. It's a totally different thing to actually go do it. You know, the closest team that came to beating Fremont last year was Syracuse. It was 17 points. That's still a lot of points away.
It's crazy when you look at the run that they've had. And, you know, there's a team that just had to learn that. Look, newcomer to Region 1, newcomer to 6A. It's gone pretty well for a lot of Farmington sports, but the girls basketball team kind of taking some lumps with the bump up to 6A. Delaney Baker back, but this Farmington team looking like they're having to learn a little bit with the jump to 6A.
A little bit, but a part of that is also youth. You know, Baker's the only returning starter from last year's team that was a buzzer beater away from winning the 5A state championship, and they had 4 new starters to replace this year. So it's a lot of, you know, learning how the lineups work with each other, a lot of growing pains and such, but they're a very well-coached team, obviously. They've got Van Price heading the ship, and Price has been coaching girls basketball up here for, I think, 30 years now, but very long time. Probably not the first time that he's had a team this young, so they'll certainly be competitive, win plenty of games in Region 1, because, you know, Delaney Baker, first off, is very good in her own right. She might win a couple of games on her own, because a lot of the other teams don't have a post player that can defend somebody as good as Baker.
I was going to say, you take away Mendelson and Gardner, and Baker is the best post in the region.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and you look at this Farmington team, wins over Brighton, over Spanish Fork. They've got some nice wins in them. Christensen and Simpson each with 9 points apiece at this point of the year, but it's about kind of growing into new roles and learning the varsity level.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you look at some of the other teams in this region, Layton, a team that has had a great history in girls basketball, and you know, they're trying to figure some things out here. Win over Alta, win over Woods Cross, Provo. Some disappointing losses for Layton this year. And then you look at Clearfield. Look, they got a great score, Miranda Mansfield, averaging 16 points a game, had 29 against Taylorsville. This Clearfield team, been a tough start for them, but they still got some players you got to watch out for.
Well, yeah, you got to watch out for Mansfield. And by the way, Mansfield, it might be the best Region 1 softball player. She's committed to Salt Lake Community College, played infielder last year, just had an amazing softball season last year. Yeah, not only with the 16 points a game, 3 steals a game as well. Yeah, you got to account for her. But yeah, the rest of the region, it's sort of a mixed bag a little bit. Like Layton's kind of a wild card, you know what I mean? Like, they can play well, and they could also get run out of the gym. You kind of don't know.
So it's interesting when you look at this region. We kind of alluded to it earlier. Fremont has not lost a region game, I don't know, since I was in high school. It's been a long time. Patrick, when you look at this region, does anyone end the Region 1 streak, or the Fremont Region 1 win streak in Region 1 this year?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I don't think so. No.
If there is who's the team that plays them the closest in a region game?
I think it would be Syracuse again, but yeah, I mean, we're talking like they're going to play them the closest. Like, what does the closest mean? Is that going to be 5 points? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 15? We don't know. We just don't know.
It's crazy when you think about how dominant Fremont has been, and we'll see if they can hold on to that. Patrick, if there's a team in this region that can make a postseason run in a state tournament, who's that sleeper that you think come the end of the year is going to be a matchup that teams aren't going to want to face in a postseason game?
I really think it's going to be Farmington, actually. I think they'll come together pretty well. You know, like I was alluding to, Van Price is, you know, he's had this situation at least a couple of times. Probably, you know, this ain't his first rodeo. And Delaney Baker, I'm not kidding. She's very, very talented. She could take over a game if they get the right matchup.
Coach Price is the best, in case you didn't know. So I love that. That's a great pick. That's a great pick. Any other notes in girls basketball in Region 1, Patrick, you want to hit before we close it out?
I guess really the only other one is, like, you know, most of the state 6A, even 5A, they're looking at Fremont as the state title favorite. Obviously, it's one thing to say that. It would be another completely different thing to do that. But, you know, Fremont's gotten a lot better the past month or so. So I think they're better equipped to handle the challenging games down the stretch than they were previously.
3 teams in the top 10 in the state right now coming out of Region 1. This region has really good top-end basketball. Going to be fun to see how it plays out over the rest of region and in the state tournament. And that'll do it. Patrick, thank you so much. Patrick Carr of the Standard. If you have any interest in high school sports in the northern part of the state, Davis County, Weber County, Box Elder County, Patrick's your guy. No one covers it better than he at the Standard. Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, as always.